Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Like this? Better? Today's shir is sponsored Leilui nishmas Imi Mirosi Ruspas Mordechai, and sponsored by Mrs. Chaya Fix, Noam's mom, who's been a great supporter of the shir. She was zoicha to Noam and such unbelievable eneklach. Leilui nishmas Nachman ben Chaim on his yahrtzeit. Neshama should have an aliyah. By Tomer and Dina Levy. Leilui nishmat Dina's mother, Simcha Bat David olav shalom. Neshama should have an aliyah. Tomer you missed. Now that maybe you can come back to the Bubbes Yarzeit. You know, whoever does have antibodies and is past the process of vaccination, has a green passport, could come to the Bubbes Yarzeit. Why not? No, first vaccine doesn't count. We know countless people that got COVID a week after the first vaccine. YISROEL SHALITZKY, in honor of my Bubbes Yarzeit today. Chaya, Leah, Basar, Moshe, Shalitzka, it says over here. Aleh Shalom. By Dan Rubinoff. The sponsorship is for a speedy refuah shlema for my brother-in-law, Eli Levy, Ben Sarah, who just had emergency spinal surgery. Refuah shlema. This morning, I don't know why people are texting me before Levi's, but Michael Cohen texted me that his father was nifter. The neshama should have an aliyah. I don't remember his name. I know that his name was Rafal. Let's take off the Rafal. YISROEL Yaakov ben Bela. I don't know his Hebrew name. His father's name. His neshama should have an aliyah. Let's see. I didn't really. YISROEL Shalitzky wrote something. We got to get rid of these long things. In honor of my Bubbes Yarzeit, she was a Baal Chesed, tzedakah, fed many people in hospitals. She took them many yeshivas. Always gave the boys more to eat so that they should learn better. So there's a Torah twist here. I've heard from many of these Rabbanim who were in the yeshivas. She always would say, Torah is the bestest chayra. It's the bestest chayra. I don't know what this story is. His father, she was born in America, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yoel, Ben Rabbi Yosef, Zechron Levracha, might have died in the Bris massacre. So the he's trying to say he's a brisker, may her and my Zaydi's neshama have an aliyah and be made for all of Klal Yisrael. He always signs off. It's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. YISROEL Shalitzky, Shkoyach. In no particular order here, I don't know if I even read this lately. Please don't read my name. I like to share how I started listening to the shir. I've been doing the daf since last cycle and was previously doing the daf at a local pre-shachar shir. However, in July of last year, I lost my job and only saw Yad Hashem. He was teaching me who's in charge and who runs the world. The amazing thing is that before the start of Erevin, shuls began closing COVID. Because he didn't have a job, he decided to enhance his daf learning as well. As not having to do it at 5 in the morning, I came across a shir. So he learned the entire Masechtas Erevin with our shir. The job hung gave me ample time to try to learn better. I, Baruch Hashem, got a much better job. We see that a lot. It's all Yad Hashem. So Kitzer, Hashem gave him the schos to learn Erevin much better. 3 months of Erevin, 3 months of job hunting. I still listen, watch the shir. Local Pishachar shir is closed. Okay, Givaldik. Now, I got another one like that about a job, but it's not in order here. Okay. I just stumbled upon your shir in all daf. I already listened to another shir, which I very much enjoy, but I'm now watching your shir every day. In addition, how else would I actually see Kuta Chabavli come to life? P.S. I did think it was 6-month-old milk. Your charts and explanations are so unique and helpful. You're also entertaining. I find myself laughing out loud at your banter. What's banter again? I know. The guy yesterday from England decided he's going to teach me. With guys in the room, what's his name? Michael Kashi. In the room on Zoom, and I know why Rabba would open each year with a joke. Shabbos Daf Lamed. But with all the fun, I'm worried. When I go up to Shemai, Yogesh Baruch will ask, why didn't you teach a Daf Yomi shir? I was too busy. I had a full-time job, kids, etc. And he'll say, Eli Stefansky did it, and he woke me up at 4:30 to drill some holes in a bowl. Thanks for all the hard work and effort of your family and support. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but you could do a little more maybe. Sam G, Silver Spring, Maryland. Okay. Boisai, tremendous daf today. Today is daf Nun Gimel. A lot of stuff. Let's see if we could accomplish everything. So, I have a riddle. This riddle, you hear this riddle? This riddle is worth 1,000,000 points. I'm not sure, there might be a couple answers to the riddle, but if you mechaven to my answer, you get 1,000,000 points. I'm going all out here. You hear, Noam? How is it possible that if you're a certain type of group, go with a certain type of shita, on Leila Seder, you're allowed to eat the matzah, but you're not allowed to eat the meat? And according to another group, you're allowed to eat the matzah, you're not allowed to eat the matzah, but you're allowed to eat the meat. It's a crazy Meshuggah riddle. That's why it's worth 1,000,000 points. Huh? No, the meat at the stam, the meat. The same meat, the same matzah, one group. Let's call them, I'll make the riddle easier. Hasidim are allowed to eat the matzah and not the meat. And Litvaks are not allowed to eat the matzah and allowed to eat the meat. But, I don't know, Litvak, it's a little bit of a hint. Right, we'll get there in a second. So we're holding in the middle of a sugya. It started like, 12 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Leilui, Katz, Kaf, and Yosef the Shviz. Oh, you're not getting another $1,000 from me. You might get another $1,000,000 point, 1,000,000 points. Yeah, what, Noam?
But the matzah is your brox, but it's Sparty or it's just Shlichta.
But you have to be mechaven to my thing. It's not bad, not bad. Much better. I'm talking about Doiraisis. Gebrux is a minug. Mamish Doiraisa. According to one group of people, the meat is also midiraisa, I think, and the matzah is not. Another group, the Litvaks are going to say the matzah. Well, I gave it away when I said Litvaks and Hasidim. They say the matzah is not a deraisa. Think about it for a second. Chadash. So what does that have to do with meat? That's the hard part. He's saying chadash and yashan. Zog the Gemara. I made up the riddle. It's mamish choshev. Rabbi Pesach is going to be jealous of this riddle. The sheep had chayil. No, that's all minhagim and Messiah. You could eat the back. You could eat the, if you know how to do nikor, you could eat the back. There's no isser to eat the back unless you don't know how to do it. We don't know how to do it, or we say we don't know how to do it. We don't have a Messiah, but it's not an isser. Anyways, so yesterday we were talking about Rabbi Leilui. He chopped down a palm tree. Asked the Gemara, how could he chop down a palm tree with fruit on it on Shemitah? It says la'achlan Shemitah. You have to eat all the fruit. You can't destroy the fruit. So Gemara says perhaps we're talking about small, tiny little dates, and according to Rabbi Yossi, that's considered it's considered a fruit. According to Rabbanan, it's not considered a fruit. So now we're holding by maskif. We're just trying to prove that this tree, at the end of the day, was not a real fruit tree. The fruits that he cut down weren't significant. How? Maskiv lo Rav Shimi min Arda umipligi Rabbanan alei de Rabbi Yossi b'shari Ilonois. Okay, so there's an argument whether these grapes, these tiny little things, this is just for demonstration purposes. I don't know the size. I'm making this up. But this we'll call smodar. According to Rabbi Yossi, it's a fruit. According to Chachamim, it's not a fruit. So if it's not a fruit, says the Gemara, that's why he chopped out the tree. It's not a fruit. This one. Yeah, not this one. This one is slightly larger. So this one is smodar. This one is something else. This is boiser. Okay, so says the Gemara, but when it comes to other trees, in other words, palm trees, even tiny little fruit this size, everybody agrees that this is fruit. How did he chop down the tree? We learned in the Mishnah, when is it considered that this fruit on the tree and you're destroying the fruit on Shemitah, you're not allowed to. All the trees when the leaves come out, says Rashi. However, the Achronim point out that Rashi in Bracha says that it means when the fruit comes out. Otherwise, it doesn't really connect to the sugya. So we'll say like Rashi in Bracha says, when the fruit comes out. I don't really have a picture when, no, Yishar Sharu, when it becomes a chain. So in other words, like the boxer starts coming out, the carob, one after another. Vagfanim mishiyagriyu mishigoreyu. So it's a shear, geirua. It's a certain size of the grape. V'hazesim mishiyonetzu. So Rashi says, like a pomegranate that has a nates, that's this stuff in here, that's the nates. Okay, so I guess the olives also have something like that. V'shar, and this is the main point that we want. V'shar kol ha'ilanois misheyoitziu, and all the trees in the world, once they look something like this, and we're talking about a palm tree, and this is the picture that Shlomo, I forgot his name, sent in. You see these little dots over here? These are potential dates. They're tiny. So once you see the little date, that's it. It's a tree. You cannot cut it down. Now, if you can't cut it down, so then how did Rabbi Leilui cut down the palm tree? It says right over here, Ushar Kol Ilanis, top line in Daf Yomi Amud Aleph, Mishayetzi. Once it starts coming out, it's all over. It's done. It's considered a pre. Once it's a pre, you can't cut down the tree. Bar Rabasi, who boiser, who gerua, who pull halavan. There's 3 shiurim here. There's boiser, gerua, pull halavan. They're all identical. So when it comes to the grapes, let's say, so this is we're not talking about this. This is smadar, kufri. We're talking about boiser. This is boiser, let's say, slightly larger, gerua, pull halavan, the size of a white bean. Pull halava and sakadaida. We're talking about beans here. We're talking about grapes. It's like a grape. The bottom line is, and boiser is after smadar. This is boiser. Boiser, gerua, palalavan, all 3. That comes after this year. This is a later stage. Great. Uman shams le the omar boiser in smadar loy rabbanan. Who says this halacha that boiser is considered? Because otherwise, this should be going according to Rabbi Yossi as well. But Rabbi Yossi holds no. This is fruit. This is certainly fruit. This is old fruit. Rabbi Yossi says even when it's tiny, it's fruit. That's what we said over here. Smadar. Also, according to Chacham, it's mutter. Chacham say, yeah, but this is the shear, not this. So obviously it's going according to Chacham, right? So Chacham say this is boiser. But this is no good. Smadar is no good. Uktani shar kol ilanis b'sheyitziu. It says mafurish the Rabbanan hold that when it comes to other trees, meaning palm trees, they're included in other trees. Even the smallest shear is considered fruit according to Chachamim. How did Rabbi Leilui knock down the tree? He's destroying on Shemitah, destroying fruit on Shemitah. Elo, Rabbi Leilui b'nischonikat. We're talking about a male tree that the fruit will never mature, not edible, garbage. Stam, it's a simin ba'alma. It's not a real fruit. So the wood is more valuable than the fruit. There's no isser to take down the fruit. Forget about value. There's no fruit there. It's a male tree. End of the story. Rabbi Yisai, yesterday after Shir on Zoom, so our good friend, I'm not going to mention his name, he's from Crown Heights. He has a fruit produce business, and he said that it seemed to him after the Shir that he just finished Masechta Shabbos, and he says he understood the whole Masechta besides Reish Hey Reish and Reish Hey Yud. He didn't know the Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah. He didn't know what it meant. Okay. So therefore, for our good friend, I made and I heard this from other people as well, that we were talking about biur on Shemitah. And there seemed to be a confusion between biur chametz and biur Shemitah. So let's just talk about it for a second. If a person has a basket of fruit in his house, a bunch of apples in his house, on Shemitah he could eat it and everything is great. But when there are no more apples on the apple tree, and the animals in the field can't get to the apples, or the animals in the field are trying to get wheat, or whatever, vegetables, whatever it is, and they can't find the vegetables, so then you, in your house, must take out the apples from your house. You must be mevar the apples from your house. You must take them out and get rid of them. How? We said yesterday, either you burn them, or you mafker them, you say, these are hefker, and then 10 seconds later you go and you grab it back and bring it home. There are a bunch of halachas here. For instance, you're permitted to keep in your house. It's not chametz. So you're permitted to keep in your house 3 meals worth of apples for each person in the house. So you have, let's say, an apple per meal, so 3 apples per person. You have 3 people, you're allowed to keep 9 apples. The rest, you take a box, you chuck it out of your house. You do biur. You burn it, and then we had a sugya, if you went to America, you might have to get on a plane and bring it back and burn it. According to Rashi, other Rishonim, you mafkir it. Okay, so that's biur. Not to be confused with biur chametz. But it's an interesting halacha, not everybody's familiar with, that you have to get rid of the fruit in your house on Shemitah when there's no more fruit in the field that the animals, here's a wolf standing looking for an apple. I actually found a picture of an apple tree with one apple on it. So, I didn't put that apple there. That's beer. Tana Rabbanon. Oichlin, now, what do you do bisman hazeh? There's no animals looking for food, there's no... So, a lot of the poskim say, when people finish picking the fruit, the Chazon Ish says when the fruit spoils on the tree, if you're besophic, you do beer every single day, we'll call it the Gary. You take your thing, you put it outside, put it on WhatsApp, or Chas V'Shalom, not WhatsApp, the other thing, Parlor, whatever, the Nuzach, single, Chas V'Shalom, not that other. I got 5 emails within an hour that Telegram is treif, chazer, osir. I agree. I don't know, I didn't really go on it and know, but I heard from a lot of people it's terrible stuff. Fine, we'll have to find a better solution. Tana Rabban. Get
off social media.
Yeah, but people are watching this Torah on social media.
And they're watching a straight thousand stuff on other stuff.
You know what else they do, Nachman? They also drink coffee in Starbucks.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go there.
Killing people over here. Stuff. Get off social media.
Noam is loving it. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Tarabanon. There's a place called Oichel. Don't confuse this with food. Wow, we have 7 minutes to finish this Amud. Not very good. Okay, but at least we know what beer is. It should remain for us forever. Yeah, Shlomi Klein. I mean, whatever, the guy from Crown Heights. So beer is when the grapes are done in a place called Oichel. There's a lot of grapes there. That'll be the standard. And if there's, but Eretz Yisrael is divided, as we said yesterday. So if you live over here, let's say, so you go all the way till Oichel, wherever Oichel is. I don't know where Oichel, I can't find it on the map. You live over here in Ever HaYarden, it goes by the last place in Ever HaYarden where there's grapes. Or, says the Gemara, what's the big chiddush? So go by the latest one. Goes by Oichel, but the Chazon Ish says, let's be practical. Go to Oichel and figure it out. You don't have to go drive up and down the country to find grapes. You want to know be'erich where it is. Oichel is your best indication that there's no more grapes. So every fruit and vegetable has a different time that you have to get rid of it from your house. When it comes to olives, you go to Tkaya. Tkaya, they have a lot of olives. When they don't have olives in Tkaya, that means the whole section of Eretz Yisrael that the Tkaya is in is done. Rebbe Eliezer Omer at Shichla Achron Shel Gush Chalav. Gush Chalav is all the way on top over here. You know when else we had Gush Chalav? Very interesting. In Masechtas Menachos, a great story. Somebody came to buy oil, and he needed 100 riboy, I forgot, crazy amount, millions of dollars worth. So he asked, where can I get it? They said, go there. Finally, he went to Gush Chalav. And they said, there's a guy in the field. So there's a guy working really hard. He walks over to him and says, you have that much, millions of dollars worth of oil? He says, yes, but you have to come back after work. I'm working now. Even though he's going to make $1 million deal. Came back after, and when he's done giving him all the oil, he says, you want more? I got more. He says, but I don't have money. He says, I'll give you credit. And he took him, and he says, they took all the donkeys and the mules of Eretz Yisrael, couldn't carry all the oil. That's how much oil. This Pashatik guy that was pretending that he didn't have money, he was working in the field. Gush Chalav. Gush Chalav has the best olives, the best.
Your story.
What's my story?
Apartments that you didn't have any.
Not now. A different time. Fine. Olives is when Gush Chalav finishes the olives. Here, look. Here's the olives. In other words, when a poor person is searching for the olives and he can't find even a quarter of a kav, which is very little, it's 6 eggs worth, you can't find it, not in the branches, so that's it. We're done. Now, all your olives at home must go outside. Either you burn them according to some Rishonim, or you mafkir them according to some Rishonim. Figs. When you're done in Beis Hine. Not true. Pag Beis Hine is not the figs of Beis Hine b'negeh to Shemitah, rather Eloli and Meiser. Pag Beis Hine v'Hine de Toivino chayavim b'Meiser. It's a different halacha. It's halacha not important to Shemitah. It's a halacha that has to do with Meiser. When it comes to dates, the last place is Tzoyar. Where's Tzoyar? It's funny, because we went from Gush Cholad, which is the top, to the bottom. Tzoyar is all the way in the bottom in Yehuda. So they have great dates. When they're done with their dates, everybody in Yehuda, that is, right? So here's a good example. No more dates in Tzoyar, so now Yehuda is done with dates. What about if they have dates still hanging around in Galil on top? That's fine, because Eretz Yisrael is divided into 3 sections. No dates in the brown, but dates in the green, you're good in the green. So we have to remember, what's the shear? When's the last time that you can eat dates in Yehuda? Tzoyar. Does it have to do with a date in the calendar? No. When the last date in Tzoyar goes. You have in the branches, that's great. We had it yesterday. So if there are, where's that picture? If your grapes are in the thorns, he writes, this Shlomo writing that these are the thorns, that's not considered, the animals can't get to it. You can't count a date in a thorn. Date in a branch, that's great. Verimini, that's the Gemara, but it's not dependent on a city called Tzoyar, it's dependent on a date. It goes all the way, grapes go all the way to Pesach. Until Shmooze, for olives. Big rois, when it comes to dried dates, add Chanukah. Figs. Bitmarim, Groigers is figs. Add Chanukah. Welcome back, Nachman, Yishkoyach. If he was here yesterday, I wouldn't have said Beis HaLevy. It's too loud? Sorry, I'll quiet it down a little bit. There's a guy here that's very sensitive to sound. Okay, sorry. I'm not going to say anything else because I'm going to get a mask in a second. So it says over here, that you hear, Gary, the dates go till Purim. Nothing to do with Tzoyar and Galil, Yehuda. Till Purim, we got a date. Very easy. Till Purim, you can keep dates in your house. Says the Gemara, great. He changed his date to Chanukah and a fig to Purim. Not important. But idi chatziuru. So this Gemara idi chatziuru. At the end, Teretz. The time of Purim is when Tzoyar finishes their dates. That's one interesting Teretz. It said Mefurish, we just read. It's either this date, the last date in this calendar, and the date, the fruit. Not a date, a shidduch date. The date that you eat goes until Tzoyar is done with dates. And if there's something else longer than that, then it goes until Purim. It's whatever comes last. So Purim is last. Like the Chazon Ish said, you want to be practical, you go to Tzoyar, check it out. It's just for practicality. It could have said, wherever you find it last. Okay, so there's a little bit of a gata here. A mountain is gall nut. Here's a picture of a gall nut. What does that mean? So we're going to see soon. Either if somebody says, I'm selling you a mountain, he means to say, it's going to have gall nuts on it. Simin la'amokim dekalim. We know what a palm tree looks like. So a palm tree belongs in the valley, not on a hill. Simin l'nechalim, kanim. And when it comes to a stream, a river, there are reeds there. Simin l'shvela shikma. Shikma, sycamore, there's nothing on this. It has 0 value. It doesn't have any fruit. So that's the plains.
No, it's for the wood.
Okay, but we don't consider it much. V'avalpi shein raya l'davar. In other words, I can't force you into saying that if there's no shikma, it's not a sale. But there's a good asmach in the pasuk. Zeich l'davar shenemar va'iten hamelech es hakesef b'Yerushalayim ka'avanim. No, yesterday I said I remember saying. I was saying over from Rav Osnan, I said Beis HaLevy. I learned the Pesach. I know that the Beis HaLevy is brisk. I didn't think for a second, but I just said it. So you've been here. You said Shevet Levy. You know what I'm saying? I missed you. The king took the silver in Yerushalayim was like stones. He made it, he devalued it, there's nothing. Everybody had silver. And the cedar trees that have so much value, nosan kishkamim, kishikmim, asher b'shvela l'roiv. So in the shvela, in the plains, there's a lot of sycamore, and he gave them cedars. They had so many cedars like you would have shikma. Okay, and where does shikma belong? In the shvela, in the plains. So let's go back. Similar melin, similar amakim dekalim, nafkemina libikurim. When you give the first fruits off the tree, it's truma, koyin, desnan, ei mevim bikurim, elo mishivas haminim. The 7 minim, you guys know what it is. Just it's kedai to see it again. One of them is dvash. Dvash is honey. It really means a date. So the 7 minim, bikurim is not from apples. Bikurim is from the shivas haminim. And now, when you give from a date, it's not a date that grew on a tree on the hills. It has to be good dates, the beautiful peiros of Eretz Yisrael. Where does that come? From the valley. And when you bring shivas haminim, you're bringing חי'ה, sa'ira. It cannot be grown in the valley. You know why? Because it floods in the valley, and that destroys the wheat. Give it from the best stuff. Similarly, unbelievable. So you own a decal tree, you own a palm tree, but it's on a mountain, you don't bring bikurim. Halacha l'maisa, you don't bring bikurim. That's not, it's not included in the Gzeir Shava Eretz that was showing the beauty of Eretz Yisrael, the shvach of Eretz Yisrael. It's not that. That's not the fruit. Similar nechol konim, nafkemina lenachal eison. So we know if you find a body in between two cities, so you bring the egla arufa, you chop off its head. It has to be nachal eison, in a stream, but you can only have a stream. A stream needs to have reeds. How do you know it's a proper stream? When there's reeds. Similar shvelo shikma, nafkemina, lemekach umemkar. If I sell you a plains, I say, here's plains, I'm selling it to you, it must have shikma. Otherwise, it's not a good sale. Hashados is lachi. So that's the most, nafkemina, lemekach umemkar is such a famous, it's like beles breira, you say, oh, nafkemina, lemekach umemkar. But once I'm saying nafkemina lemekach umemkar, perhaps I don't have to come on to the reeds in a. If I sell you a stream, it has to have reeds. Why? Nothing to do with egla arufa. It has to do with that's the sale. When I say stream, I mean it has reeds. When I say hill, it does not have decal. It has gall nuts. So real quickly, just say it because I know people like this stuff. The Chassam Sofer says that all this is I don't know if you could zoom in on this because it's kind of smaller letters. So on a mountain resembles a Rasha who's a Balgaiva. And what does a har stand for? Milin. Rishayim, all they do, they talk a lot. The Emek, says the Chassam Sofer, the valley is a tzaddik. He's humble, he's in the valley, he's a dekel, he's a palm tree. Tzaddik hatomi yifrach. The Nachal, the stream, is a base medrash. That's where you find kanim, kenecholim netayu, in Bilam's thing, kenecholim netayu. That it says also in the Gemara, haroy kanim b'chalayim yitzapa l'chachma. If you see reeds in your dream, it's chachma. And finally, shvela, the plains, is a simon of atzlos, of laziness, and that's a shikma. It doesn't have any fruit. Zok the Gemara. Similar shvela shikma nafkemina lemekach umimkar hashados lachi kulinami. Says the Mishnah. Today's Mishnah is the official Mishnah is sponsored in gratitude to Mr. Gam Zoom L'Toiva. Gam Zoom L'Toiva for his contributions to Arbatzas Torah in general and to the MTY Shir in particular. All right? He's giving Shvach Nidah to Mr. Zoom, I think. So this is actually a Mishnah. We learned this in Avodah Zarah. Maybe we didn't learn it together because I think we just missed this by 10 days. 10 days before we started Shir. A place that you sell a small animal like a sheep and a goat to the guy, Moichrim, you could continue selling. We're talking about minhagim here. If there's a minhag not to, because you might confuse it with a larger animal, then don't sell it. But regardless, you don't sell a larger animal to a non-Jew because he might come to use it on Shabbos. You might rent it to him on Shabbos. You're not allowed to rent on Shabbos, and that's a problem. Agolim, usyachim, smaller large animals. In other words, a calf, a small donkey, shleimim, whether they're whole, shburim, they have a mum, you're not allowed to sell it to a guy. Rabbi Yehuda mata b'shvura, Rabbi Yehuda says there's no problem if you sell him a broken animal because he'll go and shecht it, not a problem. Ben Meseira mata b'sus, Ben Meseira says you're allowed to sell a horse to a guy. Makim shenagu lechol tzali. Here we go. Very interesting halachas. In a place that the minhag was to eat roasted meat. Nothing to do with the Korban Pesach. On the Seder night, oichlin, you could eat. Makim shenagu shaloi lechol, ein oichlin. In a place that the minhag is not to eat roasted meat, you don't eat. The Ramah says, Ashkenazim don't eat anything roasted on Leila Seder. The Mishnah Berurah brings the Chaya Adam. You know, we do the zroya, the minhag is to take the zroya and burn it on a fire so it should be roasted. So we don't eat it. We don't eat roasted meat. What do you do with that zroya? He chucks it out. He eats it the next day. The Mishnah Berurah says, Chaya Adam says, it's a terrible thing that we chuck it out. I think a lot of people chuck it. It's kind of gross. He says, but you do such a beautiful mitzvah with it. Sat out the whole night. But it was such a beautiful mitzvah, he says, don't throw it out. Try to eat it. Now, Omer Rabbi Omer Rav, also Leila Adam Sheyoymar Basar Zela Pesachu. There's an Isser, and this Isser applies today as well. There's an Isser to say, this meat will be for Pesach, the Yont of Pesach. I'm going to the butcher store, could I have some meat for Pesach? You're not allowed to say that word. Why? The word Pesach is Korban Pesach, and it looks like you're making a Korban Pesach, and you makdish it. If you say it on wheat, everybody understands what you mean. The mintar lepischa kamar, you're saying I'm keeping it to Pesach. You're not allowed to do it for meat. Meisvei. There's a chash of a person. The Gemara is going to say he was actually Talmid Chacham. He was a person in Rome. Hinig is bnei roimi leechol gedoy mekulasim. What's mekulas? No. Close, but not really. This is how you make the Korban Pesach. This is from Yoni's, Mishnais, and Masechta Shabbos. You take the gdi, you take the goat, you put him on a skewer. But you take his innards, his kishkis, and you put it on him. Here's his, very nicely done. He cut off the foot or the feet. I know, I was thinking about that. How do you do? It's impossible because your hands will also become roasted. The point is that the kishkis, if you look right over here, his kishkis are wrapped around him. From that, mekulas means like an armor. So he wears his kishkis as a beauty, as mamish gevaldik. Look at my beautiful kishkis, all over my head. Mekulas. So he said, nothing to do with the Korban Pesach. Says Titus in Rome, I need you guys to make a sheep, a goat, with the kishkis wrapped around, Zeicher le Pesach. Did he do good? No. A terrible thing. Sholcholoi, the Rabbanan sent him. If you're not Mr. Titus or Rabbi Titus, Gozrani Alecha Nidu, we put you in Chayrim. And we said yesterday, Chayrim is worse than smacking, especially Dr. Factor's wife. Sha'atamachas YISROEL, Kachim bachutz. You are causing Klal Yisrael to eat kachim outside of the Beis HaMikdash. Kachim Sokadaitach, what do you mean? There's nothing to do with the Korban Pesach. Eloimo, we're turning to Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis, sponsored by Gedalia Fenster Lefuah Shleimo Yerach Mil Dani Levin Toiva Basho. Karayv La'ach Yisrael Kachim Bachutz. It looks like kachim, but that's because Mekulos, it's decorated with the kishka. Shei Mekulos Loi, Zog the Gemara, Amri. Mekulos loishna amar loishna loy amar. So he says like this: if you show that it's a Korban Pesach by wrapping the Korban Pesach, who does mekulos? Only Korban Pesach. So you don't have to say anything. It looks like a Korban Pesach. You're making kachim. It looks like you're making kachim outside of the Beis HaMikdash. But if it's not mekulos, you take. By the way, the halach is fish. Fish, I believe fish also. Yeah, I wrote it down here. Yes. No, sorry, not fish. Only chicken and meat. That's kind of stuff. That's also in roasting, but fish and eggs is mutter. So if I take a pulki and I go like this, I roast it, but I don't say anything, so that's not a problem. But if I say this is for Pesach, that's a problem. But if you don't say anything, you wrap the kishkis around its head, then you don't have to say anything. Then your actions show that you're doing a Korban Pesach. What happens if a guy says, Bizman hazeh, ma'am shalach l'maisa, Rabbi, so we got to be careful. I don't know. I'm sure I was over on this. Let's go buy meat for Pesach. You don't say that. You have to change the wording. Let's say a guy says that. You say, I'm buying, this is for Pesach. This meat, you see this roast, I bought it in pomegranate, it's for Pesach. Problem.
No, for Leila Seder.
For Leila Seder only.
That's why many people are not like to eat meat before Leila Seder.
What about chicken? Same halacha applies to chicken. So the Mishnah Berurah says, with the Eved, you're allowed to eat it if you say it.
Why for chicken? Chicken is not there.
I just told you, meat and chicken has the same halacha, fish not. We got to go. The Magen Avram says that if a person by mistake said, this is for Pesach, asur to eat. And here's the answer to the riddle. The Bach says, the Bach who says that you're allowed to eat, he has a heter for eating chadash. He says that it's asur bahana. You're not allowed to benefit from this meat. So Mela comes out like this. If you're going to be a chassid and say that I hold like the Bach, I'm allowed to eat chadash, so Mela you're going to have to be makbid on the meat. Rabbi say you can't go one on one. You have to go completely. So the Bach says you're allowed to eat this matzah, but you're not allowed to eat this meat. But if you're not, you don't go with the Bach, and you say chadash bizman hazen chutz la'aretz is awesome midiraisa, then you're not saying the Bach anyway. You could go like the Magen Avram, you go like the Mishnah Berurah, and you could eat the meat. That's my answer to the riddle. You don't like it, beseder. Zok the Gemara. Maskif lo Rav Sheishes. Bishlem elamanda toni lo kirib yoisi nicha. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Nachman is here. Rav Acha masni lo lahod masni. Don't even bother putting it in the chat that I missed 2 words. He got it all. Don't worry about it. Rav Acha masni lo lahod masni sin kirib Shimon. He said that this goes according to Reb Shimon. Okay, now we're going to see exactly what's going on here. Maskil Rav Sheishes, Bishlem elamanda toni lo kirib yoisi nicha, el elamanda masni lo kirib Shimon mi nicha. It doesn't go like Reb Shimon. What does it mean? What's not? Reb Shimon, poiter. What's going on here? Here, if a person says these words, Harei olai mincha, and he finishes a sentence, min hasoirim, a mincha, when you bring a carbon mincha, is just flour to the Beis Hamikdash, it must be flour from wheat. He messed up. He said min hasoirim. Says Reb Shimon, I go by his last words. I don't care about it. So why? So he says, Shelo yisnadiv kederech hamisnadvim. Because this is not how you bring a mincha. You don't bring a mincha from sa'irim, from barley, you bring it from wheat. Garbage. What he said is nothing, don't listen to him. Rabbi Yossi says he has to bring a sa'irim. Okay, so now, I'm sorry, Chacham say, you have to bring sa'irim. The question is, but this Taidos, he did not make a neder kederech hamisnadvim. When did he say that this is, you should make a mekulos? After the animal was shechted. That's not how you bring a Korban Pesach. Korban Pesach, you take a live sheep and you say, this is a Korban Pesach. He did it completely different. The animal's dead. He went to the butcher's store. He said, this is for Pesach. And take the kishka, wrap it around the neck. According to Reb Shimon, it shouldn't be a problem at all. Okay, so it can't go according to Reb Shimon. You just said it goes according to Reb Shimon. So we have a machlokes between Reb Shimon and Reb Yossi. But it can't go according to Reb Yossi either. Minicha. V'amar Rava, Reb Shimon b'shittas Reb Yossi amara. Da'amar ap b'gmar dvarav adam nitfas. So, my love. So hold on a second. The machlokes is if a person says harei zu tmuras oila, this animal should be instead of oila. And then he said tmuras shlamim. He's all mixed up. He said oila shlamim. So, according to Reb Yossi, go both. Af b'gmar dvarav adam nitfas. We even at the end. So my love, with the Reb Shimon savalok Reb Yossi. Reb Shimon says that we go with his last words. Sa'irim. And sa'irim is nothing. When you bring a mincha, sa'irim is nothing, therefore he doesn't bring anything. Rabbi Yossi says you go with the last words. So obviously Reb Shimon holds like Rabbi Yossi. You go with his last words. We consider his last words, and his last words in this case mean nothing. In this case, you bring 2 korbanos. Fine, but I go by the last words. Reb Shimon equals Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara thought for a second that Rabbi Yossi equals Reb Shimon. If I hold like you, so you hold like me. Says the Gemara, no. Rabbi Yossi now himself like Reb Shimon. So if you say that this Titus cannot go like Reb Shimon, so l'chayre it can't go like Reb Yossi because they hold like each other. No, it's a one-way thing. Reb Shimon holds like Reb Yossi. that I go by the last words, but Rabbi Yossi doesn't hold like Reb Shimon. I go by the last words, but I don't say Reb Shimon's svara that I'm not making an adava like Kederach HaMisnadvim. That's Reb Shimon's svara. And Rabbi Yossi doesn't hold to that. Reb Shimon Savalak Reb Yossi. Reb Shimon does hold like Reb Yossi. Reb Yossi Savalak Reb Shimon. And Reb Yossi doesn't hold that it's not like Derech HaMisnadvim. So l'chayra Titus could go according to this question. He could go like Reb Yossi, not like Reb Shimon. Now we're doing a little bit of a gata. Yiboilu. Titus Ishroimi Gaver Rabba was Titus a chashav man? Oy Baal a groifim hava. Was he a boxer? Was he a tough guy? In other words, the Gemara understood if we didn't put him in Chayrim, there's one or two reasons. Either he's a great guy, or he's a terrible guy, he's a mafia guy. He's going to come and destroy Chachamim. We're scared of him. Tashma. I'll prove to you that he's a Talmud Chacham because he said a beautiful pshat in learning. Oy Zudar Titus Ishroimi. Maro Chanayim Shal Vazari Shal Moshru Nashim Al Gdushas Hashem Lekivshan Aish. Let's say the story for a second, it's a beautiful story. Nebuchadnezzar put up a 60 amma golden Avodah Zarah. He wanted the whole world to bow to it. Daniel picked up his feet and ran away. Mishal Hananiah and Azariah, they went to ask a Shiloh by Yecheskel. They said, if we bow down to this and we get thrown into the Kivshan Eish, are we going to be saved? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, you're not going to be saved. So they said, oh, we're not going to be saved? We're doing it. And they did it and they were saved. Because now they did it, Shem Shamayim, the whole thing. But why did they save themselves? Why did they put themselves in such a sakana? Says Toidos, they could have ran away like Daniel. They could have not done it. Whole Shaila here, where it was in public, maybe they did. According to Rashi, why did they do it? You know why? Because the Tzfardim. Where do we have Tzfardim, Rabbi Yosef? This week's parasha, beautiful. This week's parasha, these psukim right here. We say that Kosh Baruch is hugging us. Going like this to us. Revi, says Yosef. Revi. I don't know if it's true. We have to ask Menachem Mateh. So, you're also Bakar, no, Yosef? So, the Tzfardeya didn't have to jump in the oven. He could have gone into the bed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you, Tzfardeya, go into the oven. He chose to go into the oven. Why would you choose to go into the oven when you don't have to? You don't have to kill yourself. So you see, there's a situation sometimes when you don't have to kill yourself. You kill yourself, al kiddush Hashem. What's very interesting that the Baal HaTurim brings, and I remember seeing it even like from a medrash from somewhere else, but I only found the Baal HaTurim now. Baal HaTurim says, all the Tzfardeim died, besides those who went into the oven. Those who were Mekadeshim Shomayim, and they gave their life up for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they were saved, because the Pasuk doesn't bring Tanurim. It says in the beginning, they went into the Tanurim, they went into the Sadis, they went into this, and then when it says they all died, the Pasuk omits the word Tanurim. Those didn't die. You could say this over at your Shabbos table. Shemasru al kedushas Hashem lekivshan ha'eish. Nosek avachomer ba'atzmim mitzvardim. They made their own kavachomer. U'ma tzvardim shem mitzuyim al kedushas Hashem. Mitzuvim al kedushas Hashem. There's no tziv do it. Ksivu v'olu v'yisecho v'tzanu recho mishari secho. You should go into the oven. Imasa misharis mitzuyis etzatan. Or when is the dough there? Have a oiver v'shal shatanam cham when the oven is hot. Oru shemitzuvim al kedushas Hashem. We have a mitzvah kedushas Hashem. Al kama v'kamo. Rabbi Yossi bar Ravin Omar Matil Malay Lekis Shel Talmidei Chachamim Oya. He used to support Talmidei Chachamim. Domar Rabbi Yochanan Kol Amatim Malay Lekis Talmidei Chachamim Zoich v'Yoshe b'Shiva Shemala. Therefore, he's going to get Gan Eden Shenemar Ki B'Tzeil HaChachma B'Tzeil HaKesef. Givaldik. It's already 8 o'clock. I don't know if we should start this Mishnah. Rabbi said there's a quick story. Tzfardim is today. Revi. Rabbi said real quickly. There's a famous story. It's a Givaldik story. That Reichman came to Rav Shach. Some people like to say it about Rabbi Baron Kotler. Reichman came to Rav Shach and said, I work the whole day, but I support hundreds of Talmidei Chachamim. Who has more sechar? Me, that I support thousands of Talmidei Chachamim, or an individual Talmid Chacham, who gets more Olam Haba, me or him? Said Rav Shach, I don't know about Olam Haba, but I can tell you one thing, they have more Olam Haza than you. Zog the Mishnah, Mokoim shena'agu lahadlik es haner b'leilui Yom HaKippurim. If there's a minhag to light a candle on the night of Yom Kippur, madlikin, you light it. Mokim shenagu shaloi lahadlik a madlikin. In a place that there's a minhag not to light the candle, it's the same exact thing the Gemara says. Either you do or you don't for the same reason. Umadlikin b'badei knesiyos b'badei midrashis, but there's light in the shuls, ub'mavos ha'felim in the dark alleys, v'al gabi cholim, and on top of a sick person. Tana. Bein shomer lahadlik, bein shomer shalai lahadlik. Whether your minhag is to light a candle on Yom Kippur, shneim l'dover echad niskavu is for the same reason. Omer Yeshua dorash rova va'amech kulam tzadikim v'amech kulam tzadikim le'olam Yeshua. Okay, it's 8:00. Sorry. V'amech kulam tzadikim le'olam Yeshua oretz. Bein shomer lahadlik u bein shomer shalai lahadlik shneim le'niskavnu el dover echad. It's to prevent an aveira. Either it's a person will see his significant other and he'll have a taiva, or that's why you don't put a light, or if there is a light, then it'll prevent him because the isser of b'fnei haner. Omar Rav Yehuda, Omar Shmuel, a mevorchim alo ur elo b'mitzvah Shabbos. The bracha, here's a riddle for 10 points. There's 1,000,000 points and 10 points. We make a bracha on fire. Why don't we make a bracha every day on the sun? Anybody? Why don't we make a bracha every day on the sun? No, there's no answer. Okay. The answer is that we do. That's why I said it's only 10 points. But the bracha on fire is only Motzei Shabbos. That's when Adam Rishon made the fire for the first time. You are right. Okay, so tomorrow we'll start the story, a story about Rabbi Yochanan Ula. Did he say it? Did he not say it? Have a wonderful day. No, I'm Seisher Malis. His throat is still. Adonai Shema Kalin is the Chakashu Vazikol Adonai. Imam is Shmo Adonai Miyamoin. Kimcha Sichol Iman Tivorei. Kivis Adonai Kivson Lam Shil Dvorei Cholti. Shil Adonai Shemrim Laboiker Shemrim Laboiker. Yisrael Adonai Adonai Chesa V'Vedot. בוא יבדע את יזרום מכל ונזור אחרים ויזרון אצלנו וזרם השבי ההורים דבים ביום ובאים בי יבוא שם מוקים ורחם להם יזרום וצור לבוכם אפילו לא יגום משוב לגאולו השלב הגאולו זמן קריב ונאמר אמן. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Good morning, Shlomi Kleiman. How are you? Not bad, not bad. I love when people give me jokes after the shir is over. Jokes are before. Like Rabbi Avram Weisfish sent me pictures of Chaylev. He sent me pictures of Chaylev and stuff 2 days before the shir, a day before the shir. I was like, all worried. Where am I gonna? I'm gonna start schlepping out my pictures of the yatra from my chulin days. No, Baruch Hashem. We gotta. So we'll have to wait until next cycle. Yeah, that's what he said. That's what Yosef said. Yeah. It is unbelievable, right? It's mamish. It's not stam. It's what? How do you say it in English? Lituf. How do you say lituf? It's Akash Baruch Hu is patting us. He's patting us. Some people need that. Some people don't. Hey, Yoel, how you doing? You got a Slurpee yesterday, huh? He's a good guy. Which Slurpee was better, the one I got you or the one Yeshua got you? Who's the real CEO? Who's what? I didn't hear. Mark, what?
Fancier car. Who has a fancier car?
I don't know what car he had. What car did he have? No, who had a fancier car? No, it's very important to know this. Hey, what? What? What car did he have? He's very He would make me go around the corner, y'all. I had to drive, but to get around the corner, you had to go like 3 blocks because everything was one way. He could have walked for 30 seconds, but no, he wanted to see the car at 1:30 in the morning. So I had to take him around the corner, go all the way out of the. He loves cars, y'all. Loves cars. Mordechai, y'all loves cars. He loves cars. No, don't worry about it. Mordechai's getting him a car, I think. It's only the right thing to do. They need to send him an Uber. Tell the Uber guy to come deliver something, but get out of the car and walk home. Just leave the car. Shlomi, you saw how much work I did for you?
I wanted to tell you, Moshe will verify. I don't want you to chas v'shalom take the Hasidic corner as a personal message to you, even though you double-stuck me today.
How did I double-stuck you?
A guy from Crown Heights, we're not going to name him, that felt like this, and then you called me out. It's okay.
Time out, Shlomi, it was a great joke. It was a great joke. Reish hey reish.
You're gonna read on Friday. You're gonna read the Aron Markaz. You might not enjoy it so much. We'll see.
Shlomi. What? Which one? What sponsors? I know, because it was too long, and I couldn't write it on a piece of paper, on a little piece of paper, so I printed it out, and it wasn't on my Gemara, it was underneath my Gemara. So here, look. This time I had to print it out. The other one, too many words. Official, you got to cut down the words. Do whatever you want. I'm not in charge of sponsors. Yes, I'm listening. Thursday what? So what? Listen, I got a picture from you. I'm going to show it tomorrow, Beis Hashem. Yeah, I got it. Shlomi, look at this. Look at this work. Look at this work. It's so much work.
I saw it. It was beautiful. I saw it.
And it's all for you. Where's your Akaras HaToiv? You tell me I shtacht you. I did all this for you, Shlomi. All for you.
I don't know, it looked like a leopard, and then you said it was a wolf. I never saw an orange wolf before.
I added a little color to it. I added some color.
It looked like a fox. Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's Masada because you made it for me, and I'm here.